All right, welcome back to the BFR Podcast presented by Sports Mockery. My name's Dave. I'm joined by my co-host Ficky. You can follow me on Twitter at Dave_BFR. Follow Ficky on all socials. It's Ficky baby, and of course check out the pod at BFR_pod on Twitter. Again, all socials there as well. Again, this podcast would not happen without Sports Mockery. So if you need any of the sports news, I know Cubs, deadline signings and everything like that's coming. So if you want all your sports news, go ahead and check out there. But again, Ficky man, we're back. We had a bye. But Bears versus Lions, 5 games left. Feels like there's a lot at stake. I mean, they could even sneak in. We'll get to that later, run the table. But if you're an optimist, but how you doing, man? How'd the bye treat you? Are you feeling kind of rejuvenated a little bit?
You know what? It's kind of like two sides of the coin. The first side is, you can't get disappointed. So that's always nice. Like, as much as I love football, like having a Sunday and you don't have to worry about stuff, like that's kind of feels good. But on the other end, we have not played on Sunday in like 3 Sundays. So I'm kind of ready for like a regular Sunday noon game just to get back in the flow. Right. I'm not like mad, but I'm definitely itching to see what we can do, especially since, as we'll get into, but since the last Lions game was so electrifying, even though we ended up losing, it was such an exciting game. I'm kind of like ready to see what we can do this second time around. But how about you?
I kind of feel the same. I feel the same exact way. I think we had an episode during the bye week where we kind of talked with Jacob Infante over at the Windy City Gridiron, talked about the draft, talked about Caleb Williams, which I thought was a fun episode. So if you missed that one, go check it out. But other than that, both of us took a break. And kind of going into this one, we have, like I mentioned earlier, 5 games, and this is one of the most important ones. And you could say this one could be the hardest one on the schedule. The Lions are kind of reeling a little bit. They
4 out of the last 5 they've won, and their offense is, we know their offense, it's dominant.
And their defense is, there's holes there that obviously Justin Fields and the Bears, they kind of showcase what they could do against the Detroit Lions. So, but there's going to be adjustments. I think there's an interesting quote that I'll bring up later from their head coach Dan Campbell about Justin Fields and how they, how it kind of sucks just playing him. To kind of put into perspective, he just said this sucks, essentially. But I thought that was interesting. And we're going to go ahead and go over our midseason grades, mid-season-ish. I know we're 5 games left, but our bye is a little bit later. So we're going to go through real quickly, coaching, all of that. Justin Fields, defense, which I think is almost a top 10 unit in the last few weeks. And then we're going to obviously get to the game, bold predictions, and then our final game predictions. But Ficky, before I hop into it, let me go ahead and bring up one thing here. Robbie Gould, he did retire. Today, he announced Players Tribune, the GOAT. He should have retired a Bear. So first of all, do you think he's going to sign a 1-day contract? That's what I kind of wanted to bring up because he has to, right?
Yeah, you would think so. And it doesn't really, it doesn't really change anything. Like, that man's beloved in the city. So like, if he does, that's fine. And if you look at his Instagram post, it was the Bears jersey. So like, I think people know the man lives in Chicago. Like, his whole family's in Chicago. So I don't think, I'm assuming he will, but if he doesn't, I don't care enough because like, he's still Chicago. Like, no one thinks Robbie Gould and thinks San Francisco. So
I agree. I think it was funny. There was a tweet today that I had saw briefly, and it was like, long time 49ers kicker retires, Robbie Gould. It was some headline like that. And I was just like, are you serious right now? Like, I don't know who quote tweeted it. It was one of the Bears content creators. I think it was maybe DWC or something like that. But
to be fair, though, he did do some Bear-like things in Chicago. First off, made kicks. He's always done that. And he knocked the Packers out twice in the playoffs. So like, you know what? I'm not mad about that. So again, like, I think most people agree. Like, I think we're all fans of Robbie Gould, good as gold. So good luck to his future and future endeavors and things like that and what he gets into. But like, put a banner up for the boys. So
I wish he kind of would have just played his entire career in Chicago. But at the end of the day, he kind of had to, obviously Chicago is home. I believe he's going to sign that 1-day contract at the end of the day. But with the Bears, but if they would have never let him go, who knows what happens. I understand he was playing poorly when they did make the move to kind of move.
It was like his worst year.
It was like,
but I get it. I mean, and also it's like, can we really be that greedy? Because we had him for like a decade. This is the NFL. You know how hard it is to have one person. it's hard enough to get one person for their full rookie contract. To get someone for, I think he got what, 3 with the Bears? Like, that's incredible. So
Yeah.
I get it.
And his story was
Yeah.
crazy too. You know,
Yeah.
the way he came in.
Yeah, he took over. I mean, he was a baller, like, even his rookie year. So, you know, I think I look back at Robbie Gould and I'm not upset that, you know, I mean, he wanted to stay, but Ryan Pace had to make his moves. He was expected to get big money, and that was his worst year. So I get it. Like, it wasn't like what you see nowadays where someone's up for their contract, or like let's just say Jalen Johnson right now, right? Which I don't think will happen, where it's like, oh, they want their money, and you're like, nah, get out of here, even though you played a good year. Or even recently, what we saw with Roquan, right? It was nothing like that. The man got a lot of years on our team, did a lot of good for the team, and a new GM came in and said, hey, look, can't re-sign you. So, but the good thing is, like, Robbie Gould got to continue on his career. It wasn't like an Urlacher where you were done. Of course, it's a kicker, a much different position, you know, no toll in the body, but he got to do great things in San Francisco. So I think, like, overall, you know, I'm happy for the guy, and I'm, you know, he had a lustrous career, made a lot of money, great kicker, one of the most accurate kickers in NFL history. So, like, yeah, I don't think there's like anything bad with how his journey has been, for sure. So hopefully he does retire with the Bears, though.
I think he will. I think I think they're working behind the scenes to kind of get that. They get that done as far as signing that one day contract and, you know, ultimately retire Chicago Bear. But shout out to him. A really good article too. I don't know if you had a chance to read it, but I thought it was interesting. Just awesome to see Robbie. It is weird to see him. It kind of shows how old I feel, you know, not that we're terribly old, but I'm like,
he's got to be 40, right? Him or us?
But I remember like the Seahawks game playoff, you know, vividly. And it's like, that was a long ass time ago.
Bro, that was like 07.
In Bears history. So
long ago.
And I think I was 10. Yeah, I was 10 at that time, but I do remember it vividly. But hey, shout out to Robbie Gould. I kind of just want to bring that up, you know, out of respect for him, what he's done. Crazy, awesome career. But now I want to get to, again, we'll get to this quote with Dan Campbell, Lions head coach, when we kind of preview the game a little bit more in depth. But one thing we have not done, we wanted to do a couple episodes ago, or I think with Infante when we had him on, was to go over just the mid-season-ish grades. And that episode ended up being almost an hour, 45 minutes, and we still did not get to it. So we tabled it. We're going to do it here. If you guys want to kind of drop some of your grades and kind of how you're feeling on the YouTube comments, go right ahead while we're going through this. Also, I thought we'd get the coaching.
Before we get to that as well, because I know it's Thursday Night Football. So first off, we appreciate all of you watching it. But this game does have implications, and I did see some people commenting about it. So if anyone wants to give us like some live updates, because we want the Pats to win, which might be tough, right? But keep us in check with that as well. So sorry, not to cut you off, but I saw some people talking about it, so I want to make sure we can stay up to date as well.
Let's go Pats, right? We're Patriots fans.
Yeah, for tonight for sure. But they look like doo-doo, so their midseason grade is F's across the board. So
they gotta bring that shit up. Oh, Pats are winning 7-3.
Hey, Bradley B. Let's go. Thank you, Bradley B. We appreciate that.
We'll check up on that later. You know, I'll bring it up here. We'll take a look. So, but I want to do real quick coaching. We'll get this out the way. Again, Matt Eberflus, he's DC as well as head coach. So, Ficky, I'll start with you. Kind of, what is your grades, and how we're doing this is just overall everything that's transpired from pressers, how he's handling. You know, there's been a lot of issues internally, a lot of HR stuff. Just as a whole, grade him, not just on the field, but everything all together. And then, as far as grading goes, you could just do the typical scale, A through F. I mean, you could throw A+, A-, B+, B-, etc. So, what are you thinking? Matt Eberflus.
So it's a two-part question, because head coach DC, completely different grades. Let's start with I want to end on a positive note. So let's start with the negative. Let's start with head coaching. I'm going to have to give him probably a D. C- D. You could argue both. I'm okay with that. But based off the term, because from a leader standpoint, you know, we've had 2 HR incidents, which is not good. You brought those guys in, right? That's not good. The collapse of games we've seen this year, obviously Lions, Denver, you know, I think we had another one too, but the collapses we've seen this year, and then overall record, right? So at the end of the day, we're 4-8. That's not great. And then if you tie that in with the record last year, which was 3-14, you're 7 and trying to do math, 22 or something like that. So overall, from a head coaching standpoint, you're I can't give you a passing grade because you're not even winning games. Okay. So D, I'd say he's on the up though, like a smidge. So I would give him like a C minus. I could argue both. Now, DC, I got to give him his flowers. Okay. The past two games, the defense has 7 turnovers. I know one's against Josh Dobbs, but one was against Jared Goff, right? 3 interceptions, fumble recovery in that game. Last game, we had 4 interceptions against Josh Dobbs and the Vikings. And the defense, since he's taken over as the DC, the defense has been getting better and better. Obviously, we've had players come back from injury, so that ties in. You got Montez Sweat. That's a great plus as well. But overall, like the defenses look good. I mean, is it amazing? No, so I'm not going to give him an A, but from what he's done, I could easily see a B minus B, right? Because at the end of the day, I don't need the defense to be amazing. I would love that. But in a modern day NFL, if you can give me a defense that gets you turnovers, right? We talk about his hits principle, the big one's T, turnovers. They're doing that. And they're giving the offense a bunch of opportunities to march down the field and score. Now, the offense hasn't done that, which could go to head coaching, right? And who you have as OC, which we'll get to. But overall, I gotta give head coach like D, C minus, and I probably got to give like DC B minus B. But depending on how this game's going, maybe it gets higher to a B plus, A minus. If they come out here and go crazy again, like they have been, the streak they're on, who knows? So
right. No, I agree. I think you nailed it. I don't think there's even much more to say. I think the DC, we always knew from his time in Indy. Indy he had a top 10 defense throughout that entire tenure, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's why he was hired as well. Like that pedigree right there alone. Obviously he's not, the typical like hire right now as far as just going offensive minded. I feel like that's just the rage of the last few years. But
yeah.
Of course the Bears went with defense and we're, that's showing through with this defense. And then you add in Montez Sweat, who's a multiplier like we talked about. So
oh yeah,
I think overall DC, as far as Matt Eberflus, I almost go just the way they've been playing. I almost want to bring up to an A, but I'll probably go B plus as a DC just because first of all, he took over mid-season, which was crazy. Not easy to do, especially when at that time when it was almost it's probably the worst part of the season when Allen Williams and all that crap was going through and he had to take over
same time.
Chase Claypool. He was dealing with a lot at the head coaching level, as well as, now I have to call plays on Sunday, which is not easy to do. And I know he's mentioned that he's both in the offensive meetings and the defensive meetings, but it's just a whole nother level as far as just actually having the responsibility on Sundays. Your head coach and defense, I think it's impressive. Head coaching, this might be surprised, but I'm going to go like C. I'm going to go even keel because I think he's reeled in this team. Like this could have easily been a dumpster fire. Like, because beginning of the year, week 4, week 5, after that Denver Broncos game, it looked like this was going to be a long ass season. And everyone, even myself, was just like, when is he going to get fired? He has to go. This is embarrassing. And now it's like, okay, we're talking about earlier how we kicked off the show. They go on a run here, they could run the table, finish with 9 wins. Should have been 11. If they finish with 9 wins, man. And then you about, the Detroit loss and the Denver loss, which should have been that would have been 11. So
he'll be back. If they went out 100%, he'll be back, and that means he has a passing grade. So yeah, absolutely.
I just want to give him props because I've been hard on him. I think a lot of Chicago has obviously for good reason. I mean, if you look at his record, right now. Me giving him a C grade is probably like, what the fuck? That's
generous,
crazy.
Yeah, but I can
very generous. But I just overall just for this year, I feel like he didn't lose the locker room, which I thought he did at one point. I thought it was already over. So for me, I think it's quite impressive, everything he's dealt with. Not great just because he hired these coordinators. HR issues, that's a direct reflection, no matter how unfair it is. It's direct reflect the head coach and the culture. But at the end of the day, this thing is still the ship is still floating. It's afloat. It looked like it was gonna be a shipwreck, early on. It was a shit show, but I gotta give him credit. So and then we're gonna move to
wait a second. I want to address this comment here from Bradley B. Appreciate the comment, by the way. He said Flus can't get an A until his defense doesn't get embarrassed by top QB. That is true, right? I'll say like Josh Dobbs isn't a great, I'd say mark of how strong your defense is. But before Jared Goff's game against us, Jared Goff was easily a performing at top 5 rate. They have a top 5 offense. He hadn't been turning the ball over like at all. Like his touchdown to turnover ratio is great. So I would actually say that was the first game where we actually saw the defense play well against a top. I know Jared Goff isn't a sexy name, but when you look at numbers, they have a top 5 offense. You can't have a top 5 offense without a top 5, top 10 quarterback, right? So I'd have to kind of go back on that on this comment. But yes, I would agree. Like Josh Dobbs, that's not a great mark to be like, oh, this defense is amazing. They can defeat anyone. No, right?
And we get that. And I think you're 100% right, Ficky. Like Jared Goff, first of all, I have him in our sleeper league, our dynasty. He's a great bridge quarterback, but even just fantasy wise, I mean, he puts up numbers. Like obviously look at offensive. I don't know where the Lions rank offensively.
They're the top 5 to 6 yards and points. Dude, they're 5 and 6, I think. Yeah. And then PFF has them as top 3. They're 3rd in the NFL. Overall PFF grade for offense is 84.2, 3rd highest in the NFL. I mean, Jared Goff is a huge reason. I got it right here. 27.3 points per game, 6th in the NFL. Yards per game, 2nd. Yeah, you don't just stumble upon yards.
That's prolific.
Yeah, good. It's a good quarterback.
But it is easy to be like, okay, Jared Goff, I feel like it's easy to be like, oh, he's not a top 10 quarterback, top 15, maybe. But it's like, no, he's a top 10 quarterback last year and even this year, in my opinion. And honestly, that trade they made with the Rams, I mean, if you think about it, I know they got the Super Bowl, but
I was going to say that's kind of a fair trade though, because I mean, at the end of the day, you won a Super Bowl, right? So,
but at the time, they're like, oh, they got Jared Goff. Everyone's like, yeah, but no, it really turned out. And maybe they lucked into Jared Goff, but he's always been kind of like a decent player,
Yeah, he's even above average, but what he's been doing the past 2 years, like this isn't just this year.
It's like a resurrection.
Yeah, he looked good last year too. So,
and that's why Ben Johnson is kind of like a hot topic as well, because
absolutely.
I mean, he is a big reason of that, but that's kind of a wild card. And we'll get to the coaching, who we want as far as head coach later. We'll dissect it even more. I think we went a little bit into it in regards to, I think, the bye episode with Jacob Infante, but I want to move to Luke Getsy. This is a big one because if Eberflus comes back next year and Justin Fields comes back, does that mean Luke Getsy is? And if he doesn't, that would mean another offensive coordinator for Justin Fields, which would be his 3rd. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
And then we're on 4th?
3rd.
Okay. I thought it was 3rd. Could be wrong there, but either way, you're moving. You don't want that is something you want consistency in the NFL. And Justin, since he's entered this league, has rarely got that. And so if you bring back Flus, which all right, who cares? Just stay with me here. You bring him back. I almost think you have to bring back Luke Getsy because of the consistency factor. And I've been on him. It has been brutal, screen after screen, but it's like maybe, just maybe, if you bring him back, you can kind of figure something out, and that maybe that consistency would pay off and maybe it's worth it. Otherwise, you're kind of talking about like Jay Cutler, where it's like, you're doing this man a disservice by changing the system every single year. So,
yeah, but they all suck. So
that's right. So maybe you get this one, maybe you have Marvin Harrison Jr. and you have a bunch of dogs and you get, even more talent on the offensive side. So maybe you bring in a new OC. It doesn't really matter, but I want to just get to Luke Getsy. I'm rambling here, but I guess I'll start with this one. As far as my grade, I'm going to go. I know he's an easy scapegoat, but I think it's rightfully so. I'm going to go D. I'm not going to go F because there has been some moments. Justin has thrown for 4 touchdowns in one game twice this year. So that's 8 in 2 games. That's impressive. And I know a lot of it is DJ Moore maybe and Yak and Justin Fields making plays. But at the end of the day, I think you got to give a little bit of credit there to Luke Getsy. But I would still say overall D just because he has put him in terrible situations. He's honestly got him hurt as well. When he went down for that 28-day stretch, 30-something day stretch. I mean, I know Justin holds on to the ball, but I mean, that play calling was horrendous against the Vikings.
Yeah.
The first match.
Yeah.
The second
one. I mean, it worked.
I was still pissed off but you could see what the game plan was, and you got to again. I tip my hat to Luke Getsy because he kind of learned. Hey, we're gonna get the ball out. quick every snap.
Every play.
The only thing I would have liked for Getsy is maybe to switch it up that game. We beat that dead horse talking about, as far as what the hell was that game plan, because I think that was the Vikings game was when I think his passing chart, everything was, how many times did he have a ball thrown?
17.
17.
Yeah, it was like 17 at the line or behind. Yeah. Good amount.
That's incredible. Almost makes me want to almost makes me want to
that.
bring my grade down to like an F.
I mean, there's not much lower you can go. As I say,
no, but I'm going to go with D, and I think it's just as far as bringing him back next year, the only reason you do it is for cohesiveness and consistency for Justin. But at the same time, if that consistency, it almost is negated by the play calling and the inability to kind of adapt. And I don't believe he's an elite offensive mind, as far as, the top of the top when it comes to this league. And it's interesting. So I'm going to go D. What are your thoughts on Luke Getsy, his grade? And
are you everything you said? I agree. There's nothing extra to add on. It's like, and that's why we're such a weird position. There's so many, maybe not. I wish going into the off season, we could be like, oh, this is what we need to do.
Yeah.
But there's so many options, and I can see this. I can at least understand the reasons for certain options, whether it be the quarterback, keeping the head coach, even the offensive coordinator. That one I'm more on like get rid of them no matter what. But I can see the argument, like even how you said, just from a consistency standpoint. But who knows, man? Like, that's why you said these next 5 games are crucial.
And another thing is, Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say these next 5 games are so crucial because it's not just Fields or Caleb Williams, right? It's Fields, Getsy, and Flukes. Like, they're all, in my opinion, they could all be tied together. Even I think Ryan Poles is gonna stay, but even Ryan Poles in essence. So like, it's like a whole like these next 5 games is like a whole nother season for us. Like, this is our playoffs. That's
absolutely
how I feel it.
And it's fun.
So many questions need to be
answered. I don't know if everyone else feels this way, but like, I mean, outside of like the Twitter arguments between, Justin, Caleb Williams going, like, honestly, I took a break from Twitter and, I was on there very frequently over this bye week, just because there's not much more to talk about. The Bears aren't playing, which is, take advantage of that. You talked about early in the pod, watching football stress-free. And I come back like today, this is my first day back really paying attention, all that. And I'm like, people are still arguing, trying to get their opinion across. Like, because first of all, I don't think you're going to change anyone's opinion. If they want Caleb Williams, you're not going to change that unless Justin goes nuclear, like as far as like the last 5 games. Even then, I don't think there's going to be people who be like, oh no, that's a fluke. That's, that's just 5 games. Like, there's just always going to be arguing. And I just thought it was impressive that they were still going on at this time. So
time out.
Yeah.
Great news. Mitch got picked. That's the Mitchie we know. All right. So that's great. Let's go, Pats. I think they're already up. Let's march that down the field and let's score again. So we're talking about, should we get Caleb? Should we keep Fields? Well, either way, we want to have that number 1 pick because we can get value for it either way. Either our next quarterback or we can flip that for it a haul. So sorry, I had to throw that update in there. Thank you, Mitch, for doing Mitch things. We appreciate that.
I'm trying to see the video here if I can, but yeah, Mitch Trubisky, Bears legend, doing the Bears right. Let's see here. So I don't even know what the score is. We'll take a look at it in a second. But again, you bring in Luke Getsy, you bring him back. You got to remember what's coming with that, because yes, it would be Justin, but on top of that, you're likely going to have Marvin Harrison Jr. at the end of the day. Because if you don't go quarterback, you better end up with Marvin Harrison Jr. Then you get some more talent on the defensive side, bring in, maybe a couple more offensive linemen, more depth. Either way, even just like how Justin would get better with more talent around him, you would like to think that Luke Getsy would too, right?
You'd hope.
I don't think you would keep calling screens for Marvin Harrison Jr., who's 6'4" or 6'5" or whatever he is. Yeah. I swear to God, if that happens, you fire him mid-season, you bring someone else in. But again, I think it's an interesting topic. I was going to bring up special teams. Richard Hightower. Okay. I don't think there's a lot to talk about. Like, we haven't had to talk about the special teams, and I think that's similar to like the offensive line. You don't have to talk about it. You don't hear about it during the broadcast or
for special teams. I give like a pass fail grade, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit harder to, I'd say, give it like a full in-depth analysis because first off, we don't even see like enough of like what all the players do. Like on a punt, you barely even see the gunners, right? Like, did the gunner make the tackle? Great. But there's so many other aspects that you miss, right? So we have it. Cairo's been great, right? NFC player of the month this past month. So Cairo's fantastic. Can't be mad about that. I think our punter's been pretty good. Trenton Gill, right? A polls find in last year's draft. And then, I mean, other than that, like, we've had no kick returns against us, no touchdowns. We've had no punt return touchdowns against us. So it's got to be a passing grade. That's how I view it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking here as far as the Bears go. They're 18th according to PFF in special teams, which is middle of the pack. Again, I think as far as the kicker, you have a top 5 in Santos easily, which I keep on saying it, but I'll say it again. You got to get that extension done. But I agree. As far as pass fail, I don't even know if you want to grade him because it's just like Santos, maybe. I would give him an A just because of he's the one guy that on special teams that's really highlighted. One critique, though, and maybe this is why the Bears grade is kind of down, is I almost think the Bears have to go get another punter. I've been kind of a big fan of like Trenton Gill, but I'm not sure. Like sometimes I'm like, what is he doing? Like as far as the kicks go, whether it's just kind of like it's kind of flat. I don't know. I'm getting picky here.
At the end of the day, we shouldn't be punting. I mean, I feel you, but if that's our worst, yeah, we need one.
But the best teams, even the best teams, late in games where you have, you get you're on your own 20, you can't get, you're about 2 yards short, you can't go for it there, so you got to flip the field, right? And in big games down the stretch, whether it be late in the season or playoffs, you have a good defense and you trust that. Flip the field. And I feel like sometimes Trenton Gill,
he's a second year. Here's my thing, just devil's advocate. Second year, there's way more bad punters than there are good punters, just like kickers for some reason. Like it is hard to find like a good punter and a good kicker. I don't know why it is, but that's fine. Like I'm cool with that. Like if you want to get a new punter, I'm not like against that. That's and you can literally, you don't even have to draft one. We can literally pick one up next year. As the UDFA, but I was wrong, and I was at this game right here. Thank you, Ghost of Judah Tribe. I was literally at this game. I totally forgot. The Panthers did return a punt return on us, so we did give up one. Overall, though, still like I'd give it a passing grade. Like if you want it B minus C plus B, I don't care. Like for me, it's special teams. Like you said, Dave, you nailed it right on the head. If we didn't have to be like, wow. Like if it's not like a big red flag, then I'm not worried about it, So.
No, yeah, I agree. I just off topic here. I just saw a highlight on Twitter about the pick from Mitch. It's brutal, man. And the Patriots,
Mitch
they almost returned it because it was inside his own 20, and they returned it to about the 10-yard line. So hopefully they're in
score. Hopefully they score. Let's go, Bill Belichick, man.
We'll just cancel the pod. We'll reschedule it tomorrow. Let's finish up this game now.
Actually, a fun fact though, real quick about this. Bill Belichick's defenses are pretty good. They have given up less than I think like 10 points in like the past 4 games. Every other team that's done that has won those games. They're like 4-0. The Patriots are 0-4 in those games. So it just reminds me of like Bear-esque football because we've had so many years where our defense was like, oh wow, look how many points it didn't allow. The defense looked great. Shit, that's happened this year. The couple of games where it's like, oh wow, the offense is in great field position. We've had 2+, 3+ turnovers. Why can't we score? So and we do have an update. Touchdown Pats. So it's probably 14-3. So hell yeah.
14-3.
Appreciate it. Thank you, JP, and thank you, Bradley B. Appreciate that. And then I've seen a lot of people saying, hey, statistically, Gill's one of the worst in the league. So you know what?
That's what I'm saying.
I'm fine with that. If we need to get a new punter, I'm totally fine with that. That's not a big concern.
Yeah. Man, I don't even know. I'm not going to stay more. There's people here listening to this right now like, are they fucking talking about a punter for 5 minutes? Like, what are we doing? Anyways, let's move on here. The next topic I have here is the offense. And I broke it down, obviously, quarterbacks, wide receivers, offensive line, tight end, running back. What we'll do is I'm going to do an overall offensive grade, okay? and then we're going to go through some players, Ficky.
Okay.
We'll go quick. We don't want this to be too long.
That's a lot of people, but we can do it. We can do it.
We're just going to have some fun with it. But I'm going to start here. I'm going to have you start Bears offense through week 14. What's your grade?
As a whole? Right now?
As a whole.
Position?
As a whole.
As a whole, let's give them... I'm going to say C-. There's games where I'm like, oh, wow, I'd give you a B. There's games where I'm like, wow, I'd give you a D. So I'm going to say they're underperforming a tad. And if you look at their stats, it would align up. I think our offense, it's not as bad as what you think, but it's not great. And actually, I think in the beginning of our preseason, I was like, if our offense can be like top 18, that's what I would love. So we're not too far off. If you look at points per game, we're scoring 20.2. That's 20th. In yards per game, we're also 20th. Okay. So, like, again, to be like above a C, you would need to be, you cut it in half. C's like 16. So, like, you're just a little bit below that. So I have to give you like a C-, slightly underperforming from a whole offense perspective. And really, it's like the running game's probably higher up, like A, right? Top 5 running offense, and passing game is like D. You know what I mean? Because of the inconsistency with it.
Yeah. I think it's so what was your overall grade? Just
C-.
C-. Okay.
And then if you split it up, it's our run game, I'd give an A.
Do you know off the top of your head, you can look it up. What is their, where are they, how many points per game again?
20.
What is that ranking in the NFL?
20th.
Okay.
And then yards per game is 20th as well.
According to PFF, they're 23rd. Highest graded offense. Some teams around them right now, believe it or not, at 20 is the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah,
they have some weapons too. Well. The Chargers at 19.
They scored 6 points last week and won. Crazy.
Indy is at 25, tied for 25. And then the Bucks are just ahead of the Bears, and then the Raiders. Some of the top offensives, like we talked about, 49ers, Dolphins, Lions, Cowboys, Bills, Ravens, Eagles.
Yeah.
The Vikings are up there. I think it would be interesting. I really think it would be interesting to see where Justin or where this team would be offensively if Justin never got hurt. To keep that cohesiveness, the consistency. I know I keep talking about it, but it would have been fun because he was kind of hitting his stride there.
I know he got hurt.
I know he got hurt. He got hurt against the Vikings. And it was a terrible first half, but who knows? You're going to have bad games. It just happens in this league. And so for me, offensively as a whole, I'm going to go a little bit higher. Because you said C-.
C-.
Okay. I'm going to go C+. I'm going to go a little bit higher, a little bit more optimistic, just because I like what I've seen at times. And I think they would not be, because you got to remember, Tyson Bagent played, 4 games?
4 games, went 2-2. Mm-hmm.
You take those 4 games away. You bring Justin, who is the better quarterback. I'm glad that chapter's gone. Because that's funny. We're going to look back here, a year from now. Remember we had Tyson Bagent? Anyways, wild, good backup. Who knows what he's going to be? But shout out to him going 2-2. That's still impressive, especially where he came from. But if he didn't start in those games, I think Justin and this team would be a little bit higher. I think they would be kind of where you picked, before the season, that 18 range, 18, 20. And I think that's a very good. And here's the thing. They're at 23. Who's to say they can't make 5 spots up, get to 18?
Well, if they win out, right? That's a big if. Their offense will go up because they're winning because of the offense. Like the modern NFL.
But that defense, though.
No, the defense may be good, but if you're winning, like at the end of the day, your offense probably made some improvements. Like you're winning a lot. It's not 1980s anymore. You can't consistently win on the defense like that. So so I agree. If we win out, I could expect that offense maybe moving up 19. Because we're at 20 now, or depending on what the metrics you look at, right? Moving up a couple slots, like you said, that's very, very possible. Now, we're not going to be top 15 or anything like that, so don't go crazy. But, moving more to that median, the average area, that's definitely, there's a possibility with that if we're playing well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll go C+. I want to get into some of the players now. I guess we'll start with Justin Fields. I had it start here because one of the questions earlier in the show, see if I had it start here.
Oh, yeah, right. Oh, it went away, but it basically said, how would you grade Justin Fields? And it was from the Ghost of Judah. And
absolutely.
How you grade him? So you want to go first or you're asking me?
You go first. I'm curious.
Yeah, I would give him C. I'm putting it right down the middle. because if you look statistically, I think I may have the tweet, but he has improved in all categories from last year, right? The bar may be low, but he's been better. Okay. That does not take up for the flaws that he still has. Okay. There's been games where I'm like, I don't think he's had games where it's an F, maybe Minnesota, but he got injured, so I couldn't grade the whole thing. But there hasn't been any games where I'm like, oh my God, you are just dog shit. Let's be real, right? He's had a couple games where you're like, ooh, that's like an A, maybe not an A+. I don't think he had an A+ game just quite yet, but he's had, I'd say just about as many, like, you would grade good games as like okay games, you know what I mean? And maybe one bad game. So overall, I'm basically just saying he's kind of average, right? If you're going to put him in like out of the top 32 quarterbacks, he's probably 16, 17, 18 right now, which is realistic. So, you know, I have to give him like an average grade of C. And if it's like C-, C+, C+, like all that to me is depending on like what games you put weight on versus who. Like if you weigh the negative ones more, the positive ones more. But that C range is kind of where I'm landed at. What about you?
Interesting. It's interesting. I think I'm very, very close to you. I'll bring up some of his stats right now. So again, those injuries, missing those 4 games that ended up being, it really kind of throws these stats, makes it look weird. But I mean, he has 12 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. So right now he has 12 touchdowns, which is 21st in the NFL. So middle of the pack right there, or a little bit worse, but I mean, a lot less games, 4 less games. He has 1,587 passing yards, 28th in the NFL, 6 interceptions. So, I mean, and then you throw in his rushing. So, I mean, his rushing, he has the 3rd most rushing yards for quarterback. He has a total of 400. I'm sorry. He has.
Who's ahead of him, by the way? Do you know?
4th. Yeah.
I'm curious.
I have it right here. So he has the 4th most rushing yards in the NFL in regards to among quarterbacks. And that's with, again, 4 less games than some of these guys. So he's played 8. Lamar Jackson is first with 573.
Of course.
He's played 12 games. Jalen Hurts, he also played 12 games. He has 427. 400 of that is coming from the tush push. And then Josh Dobbs, he has 400 yards. He has 400. Josh Dobbs, dude, 400 yards rushing. But he's also played 12 games. So Justin, actually the top 10 have all played 12 games. Justin's the only quarterback in the top 10 that's played 8 games, and he still is 4th in the NFL in rushing yards at 396, 1 touchdowns. He doesn't even lead the league in fumbles, which is crazy because, first of all, Lamar Jackson's has 11. I know they played more games. Josh Dobbs has 14. Hurts has 7. Now, Justin Fields in 8 games has 7, so it's not great. But it just goes to show you, I mean, Trevor Lawrence has 9, and he's played in 12 games. So, I mean, quarterbacks fumble. It's just going to happen. Strip sacks. And then, of course, Justin has to take care of the ball, which I thought there was an interesting video. And maybe they do this, but it was showing him running. And at the very end of the run, you saw him kind of hold on to that with 2 hands, kind of projecting and practicing, you know, as far as just ball security goes. So, but top 4 runner, again, the stats are kind of.
Oh, wow. Did I lose you, Dave? Well, it looks like we lost
the games as far as the passing go, because I think he would. Are you there?
Sorry, I think I lost you. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep, you're there, man. So,
cool.
Long story short, just to give you my grade, I'm going to stick with you. You said C. I think that's more than fair. Everything that's going on, I think it should be higher. And it sucks just because of those games missed, but I'm going to go C as well. Now the wide receivers. This is where it kind of gets very, very interesting. Do you want to start?
Wide receiver? No, actually, I want to give these stats real quick. Remember I talked about he improved. So if you look here from 2021 to 2022 to 2023, I'm just going to read these off real quick, okay? Justin Fields passer rating, all right? And I'm going to go in order from 21 to 22 to 23, okay? Passer rating, 73, 85, 92, okay? In the 3 years.
Okay.
Completion percentage, 58.9, 60.4, 64.4, all right? Yards per game, 190.8, 225.6, 24.3. Touchdown percentage, 2.6, 5.3, 5.4. Interception percentage, 3.7, 3.5, 2.7. So every year his passer rating has gone up. His completion percentage has gone up. Yards per game has gone up. Touchdown percentage has gone up. And his interception percentage has gone down. So is he at where we want him to be? No. But the man has improved year after year. So just something to think about.
I think it's interesting. I agree, man. I love Justin. I'm going to say it here. I know we talk about Caleb Williams, Drake May. There's going to be a lot of podcasts, a lot of conversations about this, but I think you stick with him unless these 5 games are abysmal, which I just don't think that is. Justin's not a bad quarterback. I think there's other teams out there that would rather have him right now. You know, I know it sucks. If the Bears didn't have the number 1 pick right now, this wouldn't even be a conversation, in my opinion.
No, it wouldn't. No, if we were like 5, if we had picked 5 or 8 or something, there wouldn't be like, oh, we need to trade up. He would be like, use that pick and draft 2 great people.
Build around him. Yep. San Francisco, Philadelphia Eagles. That blueprint, it's out there. It works. So haven't won a Super Bowl yet, but I mean, Philly got to one.
They sure did.
And then, I mean, San Francisco may get there this year. I mean, their team they're insane. But I'll go see. I want to move to the wide receivers, which I mean, I think is interesting. There's DJ Moore. But overall, what is your grade, Ficky, on the receivers? Because we have DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney,
as a whole,
St. Brown, Trent Taylor, Tyler Scott, and then of course Gramps over there, Velus Jones Jr.
B minus. I'm gonna give him a B minus.
Wow.
And literally, the only reason is, you know who's holding all the weight? The only reason they have a B minus is because of DJ Moore. DJ Moore is an A plus, straight up. You're a top 5 wide receiver. We've seen what you've done. You've had a 230-yard game. You're a top 5 receiver. Okay. At the end of the day, you're an A plus. But if we go down the list, Tyler Scott, rookie, not really performed how he needs to. Darnell Mooney, he's had flashes, but hasn't had an overall game where you're like, oh, that's a Darnell Mooney game. ESB. I mean, ESB would give a passing grade because I think he'll come back. Because what he's asked to do, he does. Oh, sorry. I'm talking about ESB. My bad. Mooney might be gone. But ESB, I'd give a passing grade because he comes in, does what he's supposed to, block. He'll make a catch when it's thrown to him. But it's like you're not heavy targeted, right? So it's hard to give you a full grade. And Velus Jones was in a healthy scratch for 4 games. So if you look at the wide receivers as a whole, it's basically DJ Moore, fucking amazing. The rest of y'all, right? And so because of that, I got to give you a B minus. What about you?
I mean, I'm going to read this right now. So you said B minus. I'm going C. I'm going D plus, man. I'm going D plus. I think it's abysmal outside of DJ Moore. Yards right here on the team. So DJ Moore has 1,006 yards, 1,000-yard season already, which is awesome. 5 games to go, and he could very well get to 1,500 if everything goes right there. Darnell Mooney, second on the team with 351 yards. Then we have St. Brown with 44. Tyler Scott with 81. St. Brown with 44. Trent Taylor has 0. Velus Jones Jr. has 9 yards on 3 receptions. So it's like the drop-off is so steep. And I'm talking receiving room. We're going to get to tight ends, but it's so steep, man. You have DJ Moore, and that's it. That's why Marvin Harrison Jr., everyone's like, oh, why would you, I think actually a lot of people are like, yeah, let's get him. But it's like, this is why you need him. You throw in DJ Moore and Marvin Harrison Jr., then you are okay with Darnell Mooney being your second, hovering around that 350 yards. But it's embarrassing that a receiving room that I thought was going to be very, very impressive. I know Tyler Scott's a rookie, but let's talk about Velus Jones. He can barely get on the field. He's been inactive a few games. You got Darnell Mooney, and I like Mooney. I really, really do. But he's not here next year. He has, and I'm not saying it's the injury, but it's like outside that second, I think sophomore season where he had 1,000 yards. I mean, he's been MIA. And I know Fields has missed him a couple times, and you have Tyson Bagent who started 4 games. I get that, but just disappointing in my opinion. And this is a huge contract here. You look at Jalen Johnson, who's performing, wants to get paid.
Colt Kmet performed, got paid. So, but yeah, he's probably
does too, and I like him. He's a great teammate, amazing. Probably gone. So I'm going to go D, maybe D plus, just because DJ Moore. I mean, he has an overall, his offensive grade his receiving grade is 87.5. And then Mooney's at 62, St. Brown 57, Trent Taylor 55, Tyler Scott, who's a rookie, 52.7, and you got Bayless Jones Jr. 44. I mean, it's as far as PFF grades go. I mean, receivers typically have a little bit higher, just typically, at least what I'm seeing here. And the Bears just have some of the worst grades as far as just a unit goes. So offensive line, this one I know we could talk a little bit. I think we talk a lot about it just because I think it's impressive. Before we get to that, we'll go to tight ends. Makes a little bit more sense. Cole Kmet. I'll let you start again, Ficky. What are you giving the tight end room as far as their grade for the season? Mid-season-ish grade.
Yeah. Well, there's really only two, right? Well, there's three. Mercedes Lewis does what he needs to do. So I'm going to give him a passing grade, right? I'm not going depth into people that don't get enough snaps, right?
Okay.
Comes in there, blocks. Great for him. 18-year vet. Congratulations. Robert Tonyan, not really done much, to be honest. Like he doesn't drop the ball, and that's what he's known for. He's one of the best hands as a tight end, in the league, but hasn't really done much. So it's like, if I'm gonna do pass fail,
dude,
I'd probably do
7 receptions, 58 yards.
Yeah, you're not getting
Robert Tonyan.
That's a fail. Yeah, that's we don't re-sign you.
Exactly.
Right? That's how I feel. But Cole Kmet, I mean, you got to give him an A, right? We talk about every year someone gets better. Every year Cole Kmet has gotten better. In every statistical category, that man has done that. For when he was drafted to where he is now, he has consistently improved in every category. And he is a top 5, that might be an argument. Top 10, that's not. That man's a top 10 tight end. So anytime you have a top 10 player in a position, I can't not grade you other than A. That's hard to do. If you're talking about per position, you may not be the best player on the team, but you look at DJ Moore. I gave him an A. He probably A plus. Top 5 receiver. Cole Kmet, top 10. You fall within that as well. And there might be one other person as well that we'll get to here coming up. But you got to get an A. There's nothing if I'm asking even more of you, that's just me being greedy. It is very hard to find great players that are great at their position, right? And he's young, and we got him for a new contract for years to come. So it's only going up. So I have to give him an A just for everything that he's done, blocking, catching, all of that. And I think there's a stat out there where he I can't remember the exact number, but he had out of so many targets, he has 0 drops or something. He's the only one with that many targets and no drops.
Yep.
So he's a certified net for Justin Fields and Tyson Bagent, which is what you want your tight end to be, a safety net, by the way. And
you talked about improvement, right? He's already showing that from last year. His last couple of years where there were some drop issues where hold on to the ball there, or catch that, Kmet. We that was a real conversation in the last couple of years since he's been in the league, and you could see this year where he has zero drops. That's very, very good. I mean, he has also 0 drops, but on, let's see here, 66 targets, 7th most in the NFL among tight ends. Very, very impressive. 56 receptions. He has a total of, let's see here, 482 yards with 5 games to go. 11th most among tight ends in the NFL. Touchdowns, I mean, he's 3rd among tight ends, 22nd in the NFL among total touchdowns. So
he's top 10 in every tight end category. He's top 10. So he's a top 10 tight end. And I'm never going to be, it's hard for me to grade you poorly. You're killing it in every statistical category. From the eye test on the field, you kill it. So it's
and he's a good blocker.
Great blocker.
He's a good blocker.
So I got to give you an A.
I agree. And shout out to Mercedes Lewis. I think he has 2 receptions on the year for 20 something yards, but he
caught him too. He caught him. So. Big boy, man. And hats off to him. 18 years in the NFL. I hope he can walk after he retires because, my God, that's a beating.
So we'll go a little bit quicker here. Running back room, grade-wise, I'm not going to go through every player.
I'm going to give him an A. And I'll go through a quick of every player. It'll be quick. But I'm going to give him an A because you're a top 5. You're a top 5 running team, right? You can't be again, you fall top 5, you're doing things right. So A,
Shout out the offensive
Dante
line.
Foreman came in. Well, Khalil Herbert was an A before he got injured. Like we were talking about, I was always like, yo, that's running back 1. And he showed it every week. We were like, yeah, Khalil Herbert, keep feeding him. Then he goes out, right? Gets injured. Dante Foreman comes in, and just like last year with the Panthers, balls out. Like,
that's my
that
guy.
man.
Foreman is
and he's back this
RB1
week,
in my
which is
opinion.
great. Yeah, he's back this week, which is great. So I'm giving him an A too. I don't even think that's that far-fetched. And then as a rookie, what we asked Roschon Johnson to do, first off, he's done well, like actually getting the ball, but pass blocking, A. His pass blocking is phenomenal. And then running, I guess, like, I don't know, like a B-ish, you know, he's not the fastest, but he'll get you your yards. So you look at that collective as a whole, and our boy Darrington Evans, who's no longer with the team, but I think he's on a new team now. I can't remember which one, but he came in and did what he needed to do. I think he had 3 touchdowns in the 2 games he played. So overall, everyone in the running back room, which we talked about from the preseason, was probably going to be our biggest strength in the team. It has been, right? So, I mean, there's really, I don't look at that group and go, oh, wow, we need this. We have everything we need, right?
Yeah. So Herbert, Foreman, both played 7 games. Foreman has 381 yards, which leads the team. Herbert has 331 yards. Yards per attempt, 4.5 for Herbert, 4.1 for Foreman. Foreman has 4 touchdowns. Herbert has 0. I think they're both good backs. I think at times Foreman has showed he's kind of like it's almost like you go with the hot hand. You know, Herbert, we can't diminish what he did last year and what he's shown us. So I think it's just a good problem to have. I would go B for this one. As far as just the running backs, I think it's great, but it also goes hand in hand with the offensive line, which is where we're going to move over here as far as what they've done. Tevin Jenkins, who's I believe should be a Pro Bowler. You got Darnell Wright. I'll start with this one offensively. I think it's only going to get better. I think next year we're going to really see that unit hit their stride, just because you're going to have a center. Hopefully it's a vet. I know people want to talk about drafting a rookie. Yeah, I understand you want to draft a rookie, and you should, absolutely. But as far as like bringing a vet in, I think that would be important, especially say you do get a rookie quarterback, get a center. Get a fucking center that is a veteran that is just very, very good. Even if you pay a little bit more, I know the free agency tax, it's a little bit higher, but if you bring in a guy that knows, has been around, is a leader on that line, not that the Bears are absolutely going to need it, because there's going to be some vets on there. I mean, Jenkins is getting older, or not older, but he's been in the league a little bit, so he's still going to be like mid-20s, but it's like this line is going to have experience is what I'm trying to get to. So you bring in a veteran center, not a rookie, because I think that's a tall task unless you maybe draft high, third.
It's not a strong center class though. So I don't see that happening.
So I think you get a vet, you got top 5 in cap space. So you bring him in, and that offensive line, I think, is really going to hit their stride, like I said earlier. So for me, overall, I think the offensive grade, if I had to give it for this year, I'm almost going B.
That's what I was thinking.
I wanted to go B+, but I think B is solid because there has been some sacks that they've given up.
I would break it like this. I'll do pass blocking. I'm going to give like a C. Run blocking, I'm giving A. Overall, I give a B. And then if we go down the line, right, we're going to go right tackle, Darnell Wright. As a rookie, A. You're the best graded rookie tackle, right? But you are a rookie, so overall
60.6.
Right. So overall, I got to give you like a C, but you're a rookie. So that's not like that's not like punishment. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean you're bad. It's just what it is. Mm-hmm. Nate Davis has been pretty good, right? So I'll probably give him like a B+. Center, that's our weakest. I'd C-. I won't say D. It depends who was in there. When Lucas Patrick's in there, I'd probably give it like a C-. When Cody Whitehair's in there, I'd give it like a D. Then you go to Tevin Jenkins, A+. Baller. He could be all pro easily. And then you look at not Borum, but why can't I think of his name? Braxton Jones. He's also played very well this year. So I'd give him like a B+, right? So you made a great point. The line will be consistent again. Once you get a new center in there, you'll bring back 4 out of 5, right? That's fantastic. So this is probably the most cohesive line we've seen. And also they're all young. Nate Davis is the oldest.
Very young.
And we just signed him to a 3-year deal. And so like, I feel very compared to where it was week 1 to where I am now, I am in a total different mind space.
Different stratosphere, man.
Yeah, like it's not even close.
So according to PFF, we have the highest graded players on the Bears offensive line. Tevin Jenkins, number 1, 72.5, 0 sacks given up on the year. Only Bears offensive lineman that has not given up a sack on how many snaps? 515 snaps, 0 sacks. I just think it's fucking impressive. You know, 3 penalties. Tevin Jenkins, again, I think he's a Pro Bowler. Braxton Jones, how you talked about, he's 2nd highest graded, which is awesome. I think you don't have to draft tackle. You're good. You're set. Darnell Wright, Braxton Jones. I mean, shout out to Ryan Poles. He was drafted in the 5th round, if I'm not mistaken. Braxton Jones, and that right there is a hell of a find. And I know you get a little bit of pushback about Ryan Poles, but I'm like that right there. And I know he has offensive line. I know that's what he played, so he has.
That's what I love about it.
But the trenches, Ficky, you talk about it. Build through the trenches. I mean, you find a guy like this in the 5th round who is a starter and has the ability to even get better. Maybe get to that. I don't even want to say it, but like maybe Pro Bowl level. Like that's how good he can be. And he's young. As far as
you look
age,
at this
Braxton
line,
Jones. Oh, what are you saying?
I was gonna say, if you look at this line, 3 out of 5 of the people are because of polls. We talk about how good it is, right? Tevin Jenkins was already here. Thank you, Ryan Pace, as your farewell gift. We appreciate that. But Braxton Jones, Nate Davis, Darnell Wright, all polls written over it. So I feel very confident that he'll be able to find a center that fits well into this offense to make this line just even better. Yeah.
So Braxton Jones, 24 and a half years old as of right now. Nate Davis, you talked about it, played very well. He's the 3rd highest graded. Then it goes Darnell Wright, Dan Feeney, Lucas Patrick, Jatari Carter, Larry Borum, and then Cody Whitehair, who is the worst at 43.5 PFF grade. Not great. But again, offensive line, I think is very, very good. I think it's going to be even better next year. Lots to be excited about. Defense.
Before we move over to defense, we have a comment here from the Ghost Judah Tribe. Said, hit the like button. Yes, please do that if you're enjoying this. We appreciate it. First of all, we thank you for watching us while there is a very important, so exciting Pats versus Steelers game on Thursday Night Football. So we do appreciate that. A like goes a long way, helps get our show out to the right people. Helps us continue making the show, and it's free. So just hit the like button. We really appreciate it.
And we're on the road to 3,000 subs. We're getting pretty close. It's moving quickly. So if you guys want to help us get there, hit the sub button. Help us stick around. Again, this show wouldn't be here without sportsmockery.com as well. That's what the show's presented by. So all your sports news, go check them out. Again, sportsmockery.com. Also, I cover the Bears over there. Multiple articles a week. So if you like, either blogs, writing, whatever it might be, if that's your thing, of course, go ahead and check it out. But a lot of great writers over there as well. And to give a score update on the Pats Steelers game, we were at 21-10, about 2 minutes left in the 2nd quarter. So, Pats, it's early. I'm going to knock on wood here.
That's a high scoring game for two teams that people were like, yeah, we don't want to. This may have been the worst Thursday Night Football or primetime game scheduled. And they already have 31 points. So what a game.
Dude, the Patriots this is a huge win. If they win this, they move to 3. This would be huge for the Bears.
Bro, they would be into 3 games. We would be at 1 with 5 games left. That means, and we have the tiebreaker, and I say we, the Panthers, they have the tiebreaker for strength of schedule. So it's not that they lose 1. They'd have to they'd have to win 3 out of the 5 remaining games. And the Patriots would have to lose out. That's not happening.
Looking good.
That's not happening. They're not losing.
But hey, Kenny Pickett is out. Mitch Trubisky is doing his best to make the Bears proud. But Pittsburgh Steelers, man, are 7-5. Shout out to Mike Tomlin. If he ever, I know people talk about Harbaugh, and I know he's probably never leaving Pitt because they don't.
He would sign him immediately.
But oh my God, that's the guy I want. That's the type of coach I want with the Bears, man. Can we find that?
First of all, he's an outlier, bro. First of all, Super Bowl champion.
Awesome. Yeah,
and he has this record of how he's 500 above of like how many seasons? It's like 15 or something like that.
But you look at the Steelers organization too, though. You talk about stability. They've only had 2 head coaches in the last 20 something years.
Tomlin, and then what's his name, Hall of Famer, who does on CBS now. I can't think of his. Or he used
Is
to
it
be on
Wisenhunt?
CBS. No, with
Kevin
the
Wi-
big
no.
mustache. I can't remember his name. I'll look it up. But yeah, and you know
It's-
why that is? Because they win, bro. You don't get new coaches when you're a winning organization and you have winning culture. Like they haven't gotten rid of Mike Tomlin because he hasn't had a losing record basically since he's been there. So yeah, it makes sense. While the Bears, on the other hand, have had losing records way more. Like when we have a winning record, that's more like an outlier or an anomaly. For us, we're like, oh, that happened, right? And it only happens once. You don't get it back to back since Lovie Smith. We haven't had a back to back winning season since 2000, I think, like 11 or something like that, bro. That's 13 years. So
Bill Cowher.
Yep,
That's who it is.
Go. And he won 2 Super Bowls too with Roethlisberger. So they win.
15 years.
They win.
He coached the Steelers. Anyways, I don't even know how we got to that, but we were talking about the game, Steelers.
Oh yeah, thanks. I don't know if you got that from the comments, but Tareen Whitfield did say Bill Cowher, so I didn't see it.
Yeah.
We have.
I saw it a little bit
Shout
earlier.
out King Buka as well.
They keep us in check, man. I appreciate that.
The OGs definitely do. And by the way, before we move to defense, one last thing, shout out to the OGs that are in here that have been part of the show. We really appreciate it. But if you're new here and this is your first time, go ahead in the comments, do hashtag new face gang. And we'll go ahead and share you before the show ends. And then if you're an OG like Tareen, who always pops on, JG, Goes to Judah Tribe, go ahead and give us a hashtag OG, and we'll give you a shout out as well before the show ends. So I appreciate everybody in here. Thanks for taking time out of your night or day, wherever you may be at, because we are global. So we do appreciate that.
Absolutely. It is kind of crazy to see. Yeah. Anyways, it is cool to see the growth. I think it's fun as far as just the community goes. I know that we've talked about it, but that's what we want to build. And that's the fact that we just get to talk Bears with everyone and have a fun little conversation every, multiple times a week. It is cool, and we don't take it for granted. So again, if you're enjoying the episode, though, you're enjoying the season, you've been here a couple times, go ahead and hit the like button, sub to the channel. Really does help the channel grow. Tell a friend, whatever it is, Apple, Spotify. Shout out to you guys as well. Absolutely. However you listen to the pod, we just appreciate it. So defense, we'll go ahead and just talk about it real quick. Maybe highlight a couple players. Ficky, if you don't mind, I'll start with this one. As far as the defense goes, you take into consideration how bad it was early on, I think, because it wasn't great. But with Montez Sweat, man, I'm going to go, and this might surprise you, I'm going to go B-, just because I was going to go C+, but I think I'm going to go B- just because of the turnovers in the last. It's been crazy.
Surprising. That's not surprising.
You're probably right. It would have been more surprising if maybe I went C+. But I'm going to go B- just because I think it's an incredible turnaround. Shout out again to Matt Eberflus. He's really shown he's going to be a DC in this league if he wants to be. There's going to be people out there, teams out there, if he does end up leaving Chicago, absolutely going to be a coveted DC. And maybe that's just what he is. We don't know. But again, shout out to him. Turn around on the defense. Some key players I want to highlight. Montez Sweat, of course. I want to say Javon Dexter on the inside. I think he's really coming along.
He's much better of recent.
Andrew Billings. That's your guy.
Yeah, Billings is
for
sure.
He got that extension done before Mooney. I know it's different, but
there's three. I'll do 4. There's 4 A's on this defense. Can you guess them? Who I'd give A's for?
Okay, is Montez Sweat one of them?
Yep, that's one.
Okay,
and Billings, I just said that.
Okay, yep, Billings, Jalen Johnson.
Who's the last one?
Well, I mean, that's easy. It's TJ Edwards, probably.
Yes, sir. The dog himself. Yeah, that's the 4 I would go with.
You can almost say there's a couple other A's though.
Possibly not for me. I'm gonna go. JJ is top 3 corner right now this year, so that's easy, right? No argument.
Okay.
There. Andrew Billings has been great. Got an extension. He really has been like an underdog position, like signing again. Another polls fine. He's been great. Montez Sweat, you don't have to talk about that. We've mentioned it. He's a multiplier. We've seen it. The pressures, the sacks already being on this team. A dog. And then TJ Edwards might be the best linebacker. Fred Warner. Kind of hard to beat Fred Warner, But Fred Warner, Roquan Smith, and TJ Edwards, easily, whatever order you want to put them in, those three are the best linebackers in the NFL right now. Another signing by Poles. So, like, 4 A's on this defense. I mean, that's a great. And again, another thing we talked about, which I think is why I trust Poles so much, is that Jalen Johnson probably going to get extended, right? Or tender tag, whatever it's called, franchise as well. Either way, he's going to be on this team. TJ Edwards, we just signed this offseason. He's here. Andrew Billings just got an extension. Montez Sweat just got an extension. We're creating the people that are being graded the most are going to be here for a minute. Absolutely. And even if you look on the opposite side again, Tevin Jenkins probably going to get an extension. DJ Moore's here to stay, all right? Because he already got the extension from the Panthers when we traded for him. So, like, Nate Davis is here. Darnell Wright we just got, and Braxton Jones we just got. So, some of these graded players aren't leaving because either they're young or we just signed them. So, like, whoever the quarterback is for this team is set up more than any Bears team that we've had previously when we've been looking for a new quarterback. Or a better way to say it, for a team that has less than 5 wins, we have a lot of foundational pieces. Typically, you don't have that, right? You're like the Patriots. You can't name anyone on the offense that you're like, I would love for you to stay on that team. You know what I mean? So, but yeah. So I think there is some optimism in that. But I would love to know the other people that you would put as A on defense.
Yeah. So, I mean, JP Gutierrez over here, he talked about Kyler. He said Kyler has been doing great. I would say Kyler Gordon, I almost want to give him an A-. I feel like he has really had a good season. There's been some plays, some spurts, but I just feel like him and JJ have just both been, I think, pretty good, especially when you consider his rookie season, how it was kind of rocky. It's almost like Brisker and Gordon kind of flipped, which is because I think Brisker has kind of had a rocky season, rocky sophomore year. But again, not a bad safety. He's aggressive. That's just in his nature. He set the tone a couple times. Sure, coverage can be shaky, but at the end of the day, I think he's just going to keep getting better. I love Brisker.
Yeah,
so
I would. Yeah,
but Gordon, I'm going to give him
about Brisker. Go ahead.
No, me either. I agree. I'm not concerned at all. I just feel like it has been a rockier season.
For sure.
But again, if we're talking safeties, there's a comment here about Eddie Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely gone.
You know
just because of the cut.
I think he's actually played better than Brisker. It's the only if he didn't have a cap hit in his age,
that's
obviously. That he would still be.
You're saving what, 10+ million? I thought.
I think it's like 14 or something like
14,
that.
that sounds right.
And then Whitehair's 12. So
it's a lot.
Jackson will probably be gone, but he's played above average, So
So Kyler Gordon, Tremaine Edmonds, I wouldn't give him an A, but I feel like last couple of games have been pretty solid. You've seen that length. I think he's got 2 interceptions or maybe 1.
Some tackle, a lot of tackle
TFLs
too. Yeah.
He had one where I'm like, that is just a big. He was just running back there. I'm like, it was I think it was a run to the right.
And I know a play you're talking.
You know
about.
what I'm talking about? That one, I was like,
he shoots it.
I was like, I understand why you gave him that money. And again, he's 24, so he's going to get better. So I think I don't agree with you. I think those are fine choices as far as just A players on this defense, but it's like next year could be even more.
Oh, easily.
You could have a sign an edge rusher to go with Montez Sweat. Maybe you don't bring back Yannick Ngakoue. Bring back you replace him with Chase Young. That could be an A player. He's performing. I don't know if San Francisco is going to keep him. I don't know if they can. I don't know what their cap space looking like off the top of my head. But overall, I think the defense is just they're a year away. For sure.
I could see it.
From being not even top. I'm not trying to say top 5, top 10. I'm talking about like winning games. Winning by themselves. No matter what the offense does. And I know they're close to doing that this year, but it's like they just haven't been able to close out those games. The Lions game.
On paper, the projection.
2018 defense. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. I would say on paper, yes. The only thing that I'm concerned about is that the NFL is so random.
Yeah,
so like players can have it's so it's really week by week, which is crazy. But yes, I agree completely with you. How people have been performing of late, the young guys, like Kyler Gordon, I'd probably give like a B-. I wouldn't argue that. I'm cool with that. Javon Dexter recently as a rookie grade, I'd start to give him like an A, but like overall, you're still a rookie. So But yeah, he's going up.
just
That's what you
trending
love.
up. It's a lot of these
That's what you
players
love.
are, which is
Terrell
great.
Smith looking good as
We
a
didn't even
rookie.
talk about Tyreek Stevenson, who's
Yep,
it's been
he's
up and down, but again,
good as a rookie. Again, it's very much promising. Now, if we do just a certain grade aspect, these guys are like C's, in which, I mean, it's rookies. It makes sense.
And
so, but
they're healthy too, which is great. They're getting, I think the whole team, the Bears, I was going to bring it up here, but like nobody's hurt. Knock on wood. But like this team, this 5-game stretch, it's awesome. They have really no excuses. Just go win these games, win as much as you possible. I agree though.
I do want to give grades by position though, real quick. No, at least by units. If we're gonna go D line, I'm probably gonna give them a C, and they'd be bumped up to a C plus. This is kind of like how the wide receiver group is, where Montez Sweat carries all the weight. Because if you look at, you have 2 rookies, so they're like C grades. It's almost like a standard. Unless you're like going crazy, you're going to be C grades. So Javon Dexter, Zach Pickens has been looking up and up, of recently as well, but you're rookies. Montez Sweat, we already gave him an A. Yannick Ngakoue, actually underperforming. Even by his own numbers, like he just hasn't been that guy.
He's good for 8 sacks a year.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind if we re-sign him back on where he's not this, every play down, but he goes in on those green rush plays, whatever, your 3rd and longs and stuff like that. So, but he's been underperforming. So I'd give them like a C plus. Okay. Linebacker
3 sacks.
Yeah.
3 sacks on the year. But that's 5 games left, and now he has Montez Sweat, a guy like him. Maybe he can.
Maybe he gets to
3 more.
7? Yeah, right. I agree. Still would be under his normal number though. Linebackers, I'm gonna give them like probably an A minus, because Sanborn's like a B for who he is. He comes in, he makes plays. He really does. Sanborn's a dog. Yeah. He's not in every play though, because when you go to dime and nickel and things like that, he's subbed out. We gave TJ Edwards an A plus. Honestly, he's great. And then Tremaine Edmonds, I give like a B as well, B plus, because he's been
exactly where I'm at. Yeah.
So overall, that linebacking core is great. There's no, if I look at it and go, I don't need to do anything to it. Like you're up in the A to high B area, right? Secondary, I'm gonna give that one like a B minus, but potentially can be like next year. I can look at them just off projections, right? That could be like an A group. JJ A plus, Brisker probably like underperforming C plus, Kyler Gordon B minus, right? Which isn't bad, B minus B. And then the 2 rookies, Terrell Smith doesn't get tons of snaps, but for the snaps he get as a rookie, I'd give him an A. Overall, you're going to get a C just because it's a rookie. It's hard to grade you. And then same with Tyreek, I'm going to give you a C overall grade, but like as a rookie, like B. So, looking at it next year, really, we just need a new safety, which is going to be Bojack, since he'll be gone. And then like you may have a really, really good group. So if you look at it, secondary is good. Linebacking core is outstanding. A couple pieces on the D line, you need to add maybe a 3 tech, 1 tech, and then another edge. But like the defense overall, I have more faith in how that's looking compared to the offense. So those are
I agree with you. I think the Bears are that defense, that unit is, if they remain healthy, that's the key. But if you bring in how free agency and the draft is going to play out, they're going to bring in some players that are going to be some difference makers.
We did it this year.
And so
with the money we had.
So for me, I think that unit's going to be really fun to watch next year. But I agree with everything you just said there, Ficky, to be honest. Everything really. Defensive line, linebackers, the secondary corners, safeties. I really think there's not a lot of weaknesses. Sure, there are some plays where you're going to beat, some players are going to get beat, but that's the NFL. When you're going against the best of the best, Patrick Mahomes, it doesn't matter. You can have perfect coverage, and he's going to place the ball, better. It's just going to be better. Great coverage, better throw. So, Bears Lions. We'll finish up with this. Obviously, it's a big game. We kind of talked about it a little bit early in the show.
Lost audio 1 second. My bad. That is so.
Can you hear me?
Weird. Give me a second. Sorry about that for the listeners.
Yeah, well,
definitely lost.
Before you get here, Ficky. Before you get back, before Ficky comes back,
we love that. Just randomly disappeared.
I can hear you.
Why rejoin?
Okay.
And then Dave.
Well, I can hear you, Ficky.
In the meantime.
Yes. So first of all, Ficky, he'll be right back. For our Apple, Spotify listeners, looks like he just lost some audio here. But we do have a super chat. That's what I'm going to go ahead and get to before we kind of get to the Bears Lions preview. We have it from Tito, $5. So again, appreciate that. Supporting the show, Tito. We always love that. So he said the D just needs a safety. and one more defensive edge. The O needs a center and a wide receiver and a better coaching and worse set. Build around JF1. I think you said that a couple times just in comments, and then, of course, the super chats, that which we appreciate. But I believe building around JF1, bringing that. Are you back, Ficky?
Yeah, I'm back. I don't know.
Cool, man.
Just disappeared. Sorry about that.
Hey, man, it's just technology. It's technology.
Yeah,
but
we love it.
Again, thank you to Tito. I agree. Build around Justin
that.
Fields. The defense, I also think they're set, man. They've
see.
invested in it.
Yeah, I just want to read
What
it again. No, I want to read it because I missed it. The D just needs a safety, one more DN. Totally agree. O needs center and wide receiver, better coaching. Yeah, I mean, spot on, Tito. Spot on.
Absolutely. Again, shout out to Tito. We appreciate it, man. Bears Lions. I'm gonna get to this quote here. Then we're gonna go ahead and we'll give a bold prediction. We'll give our predictions, and then we'll go ahead and get out of here. But again, if you're enjoying the show, leave a like button. Tell a friend. It's free. It helps the pod. Supports the pod. This quote right here, Dan Campbell, Lions head coach. He had this to say about Justin Fields. He says, he's one of these rare, dangerous players. And I'll tell you what, he's done a really good job of from last year to this year. Sorry, this is weird. It says he's done a really good job from last year to this year. I don't know what this is. I don't know how to read it. This is from Daniel Greenberg. I don't know if he maybe had a typo here. It goes, if it's a pass, and he starts to move, he's still moving with his eyes down the field, much more than I felt like he had previously. But at the end of the day, he's extremely dangerous. So all that said is, one, talks about Justin Fields being a dangerous, rare player. And again, I know this is a rival coach and take it for what it's worth. But the fact that he is extremely dangerous, it's something they have to game plan for,
For sure.
And he's not the only coach that talks about this. So sure, is it his legs? Fine, maybe. Containing Justin Fields is important. Otherwise, he can score 50, 60-yard touchdowns on you. We've seen it. Not a lot this year, but I like Detroit. First of all, I respect Dan Campbell. I think it's always fun to kind of hear about what the opposing coaches think about quarterback. You look at Mitch Trubisky. I mean, the players,
him, for sure.
Yeah, that was one of the big things. Even Jay Cutler had some moments where I think, had some good things said about him. But Justin Fields, you hear it time and time again how kind of like a pain in the ass he is in regards to just dealing with him on a weekly basis. But Bears, Lions, which is interesting because they were about, I think, almost 8-9 point favorites the first time they met. They are 3.5 point favorites right now. I'm sure the Bears are at home. The over-under is set at 40.5 points. Ficky, are you taking the over-under on that?
Probably can go over for two reasons. Last time we saw it, they easily hit the over. Okay, first off, we talked about it. The Lions offense scores 28 points on average, right? So that's a good amount of points. Bears offense is 20. That's at 48. But if we look at the last game, Bears scored 30-something? So they were both in the 30s. I think that, they hit 70 overall total. So I could easily see them hitting the over. And even if the Bears don't reach it, I could see the Lions making up for it. So 40-20 or something like that. That's not my prediction, but I think we can hit that over pretty easily. And then also this Lions defense isn't that great. You look at last week, they played who they play last week? Wasn't that they gave up 28 points? The defense did. Why can I not remember who they played? The Saints. They gave up 28 points with the Saints, and the Saints do not have an explosive offense. We played them, and they didn't score that much, right?
And then they gave 29 to Green Bay the week before.
29 to Green Bay. They gave 30-something to us.
Before they played us, they gave up 38 to the Chargers. So absolutely, I agree with you.
Yeah, 38 to Chargers. We were in the 30s. All these teams are high 20s to above 30. So, I think we're going to hit the over easily.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's easy there. But we'll just get to our bold predictions here. We'll do a couple, and then we'll go ahead and get to our final score predictions, and we'll get you guys out of here. So, Ficky, I'll go ahead and start. I've been sitting on this one. Justin Fields, he's going to account for 400 total yards.
That's crazy.
I think it's going to be a big game for him. I think there's going to be a lot of running. I think there's just going to be a lot. I think this is a game where we're going to see him just break one, maybe 50-yarder. I'm not saying it's a touchdown, but I think he's just going to run. I feel like the Lions kind of just tend to let him run a little bit. Even the last game, I think it was his first 100-yard rushing. game
this year
of the year
I think maybe
against the
second,
Lions.
You might be right.
Either way, he topped 100 yards, 107 or something like that. So I feel like he's just going to get 400 total yards. I'd love for it to be 300 passing, 100 rushing, but I just think I don't know what it's going to be. But that's my first bold prediction. So
yeah, JP said with all our screen passes ? Yeah, brother.
No.
Hopefully not.
I don't think there's gonna be. I think he's gonna open it up.
No, it probably won't. Fun fact before I move on to mine. Justin Fields has rushed for over 100 yards 5 times. What is the Bears' records in those games?
The fact you're bringing it up, 0-5.
0-5 is correct. Ding ding, you win.
Yeah,
so yeah, it's
disgusting.
yeah, 0-5 in that. Just had to throw that in there. I'm gonna go the opposite way, kind of like in line with you. I don't think he gets over 100 rushing yard. I don't. I think they're going to be more like eyed in on it, right? He may get like one big run or something. I agree with you on that, but I think he stays with under 100. That's not my bold prediction, but it leads into my bold prediction. I think Fields, this defense is not good. They're also one of the worst against guarding tight ends, and guess who Fields loves? Tight end. He loves his boy Cole Kmet, right? So I think Fields throws for 350 yards passing. Jesus. He goes off. Whether he wins or not, I don't know. But I think this is going to be his biggest game of the year.
Okay. Damn. 350 yards, that would check the box, I would hope.
Yeah, but bro,
damn.
You got some
All
issues.
right. So my second one, and this one's going to go with the I'm going to go to the defensive side. This is where it gets interesting. I want to go with the defense, but I'm going to go with the specific player, Jalen Johnson. I think he's just going to capitalize on this one. I'm going to go 2 picks. No, I'm just going 2 picks. I don't think he gets his pick 6. I just don't think it's happening. He's shown me so many times where it's like, I think he's gonna get 2 picks on Jared Goff alone. And I just feel like he's getting a knack for, especially because he did just play Jared Goff. I think it's going to help him a little bit. Sure, you could say it could help the Lions too, but I really think he just knows these tendencies. He's made some really good plays over the last couple of weeks too, as far as just, very athletic, very instinctive interceptions. So for me, I'm going to go 2 picks, not a pick 6, but 2 interceptions for Jalen Johnson. And man, he's going to get paid, man.
Absolutely. That's not bad. I could see that happening. Okay. I'm in the same kind of lane, but not with a player, but a team as a whole. And maybe it's not a bold prediction because they have 7 interceptions in the past 2 games, but they get 2 more interceptions. Goff did just go turnover free last game, 2 touchdowns, no fumbles, no interceptions. Okay. But I think somehow we get him. We get him back again. 2 interceptions somehow. Tip ball, catch, maybe just doesn't see someone, throws it to him, but we're getting it. And and why I say this because I need that because that gives Fields 2 more chances to get to 350 yards. So there was a funny comment I posted here. I think it was JP. I think JP said Ficky's on drugs. But hey, these are bold predictions, right? They got to be a little bit outlandish, right? I know Fields has only thrown for 300 yards in like 2 games, I think, in his whole career. But if he's going to do it, looking at the rest of the schedule, this is one of the worst defenses that he's going to face coming up. So if I'm going to say 350 out of the 5 games left, this is the one I'm going to pick. So hopefully that.
I agree. So let's get to that question here. Fig, you want to bring it up, start before we get to our final predictions?
Yeah. So he's JP says, "Hey boys, should I start Fields in my fantasy?" I can start with this since Fields in 3 of my fantasy leagues. No. I know I said 350 yards, but as a man who is not in the playoffs in any of my leagues,
I disagree with you, Ficky. I think you start him.
Look,
unless you have like Mahomes.
Yeah, we know who your QB2 is. We know who your QB2 is.
No, you start Justin Fields this week, and he's gonna win you. It's a pivotal matchup too.
I've been disappointed too much. I know it doesn't align with my bold prediction, but like it's a bold prediction, and this one's a little more logical. I have them in like
this isn't bold.
So I don't know. Maybe I've just been burnt over and have too much PTSD from it. But good luck.
So there you go. You're split. You got me telling you yes. You got Figgy saying no. So I mean, flip a coin, or I don't know.
Let's see what happens. Good luck. Let us know how that works out next week.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. So we got bold predictions of the way. Final predictions, and we'll get out of here. Again, Bears versus Lions, noon game in Chicago. It's going to be cold. I don't think it's going to be snowing. I think the wind's going to be fine. Ficky, I'm going to let you start. How you feeling with this one, man?
All right. Last time I was kind of close on mine. I think I remember. I think I picked the Bears. I picked like high scoring.
Okay.
And they should have won that game. Let's be real. I'm going to do the same. I'm probably going to think this defense somehow is going to give up 31. I can see 4 touchdowns, a field goal. And then I think our offense is going to get like, man, that's a lot of drives. Now I'm thinking about it out loud. You know what? 34-31 Bears. I think we win it. Nail biter. Fields looks good. 350 plus yards. I don't know if that one happens, but I could see us getting 34 and somehow we win this one.
Very close prediction for mine. I actually had the Bears scoring 34 points as well, but I had them winning in overtime. 34.
What is up with you? Time out. What is up with you in these super close games, overtime?
We're due for an overtime
win this time.
No, I'm going to go 34-31 to 34-31 as well. And I think what was your prediction? 34-31?
34-31. Bears.
Yeah, that's exactly how it feels. I'm going to change it up. I just think it's going to go in overtime in this one. I feel like it's going to be a really fun game for both teams. I think if they do win it and it's a close game, whether it's finishes in regulation or if they win, a thriller in overtime, I just feel like this could be the signature win that we should have got like 2 weeks ago, where it's like, okay, big win, 4 games left, keep it going, and if they can, it's, still to be seen. But I really feel like this is one where it's like, if they can find a way, knock off Detroit, beat the Demons of a couple weeks ago, where it's like you finish a game, maybe not blow it. And hopefully, God, it's just a close game because it's just a really competitive game and not because they let the team back in, because I don't want to see that story again. It'll piss me off. But again, I think the Bears, I'm with you on this one. I think this is a win. I don't know who else is going to be picking the Bears this week, but
not many.
That's why we're here.
And look,
next year,
I mean, logically, yes, the Lions are the better team. They should beat us. I'm just like deep down, I'm like, look, we did well against them last time and fucked it up. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
We could possibly pull this one out. It's the NFL. Teams lose to teams all the time that they shouldn't lose to. Okay. So who knows? Hopefully it happens. And Dave, before we head out, got to give out we do have some new face gangs in here. So JP said new face. It's my second show. So welcome. Really appreciate it. You've been active in the chat. Really do appreciate that. King Buka, I think we've seen you in here before, but he said, been here commenting for the first time, already subbed. Appreciate that as well. So thank you, King Buka World. Both of those on YouTube. And again, if you enjoy the show, give us a like. I know we're about to head out here, but it still helps the algorithm once the show goes live. And like Dave said, we're on our way to 3,000 subs. So if you want to give us a sub, we really appreciate that as well.
No, absolutely. We're excited. We're going to be back. Hopefully this is fun. We're going to recap this game right after it ends on Sunday. So about maybe 20, 30 minutes right as far as the game. Once the Bears win, we'll be back on. We'll go live. You'll get the notification if you do subscribe. So first of all, appreciate the support. Go ahead and check out all the stuff on sportsmarket.com. Go ahead and follow Ficky. It's Ficky Baby. You can follow the pod itself, all socials, TikTok, Instagram, BFR_pod. And then if you want, check out myself on Twitter, Dave_BFR. But Ficky, man, anything else before we kind of head out of here?
No, not really. Like, I'm just excited for a Sunday noon or 1 o'clock, depending where you're at or where you're at in the world, but just a regular Sunday game that I can watch. And then we don't have to do a show at like 3 a.m.
Yeah. We don't have any of those late Monday, late Thursday night games. So I agree with you, man.
Brutal. Yeah. So
absolutely. So we'll be back again. Appreciate the support. If you can, hit the like button. If you're here and you're new, you've been here a while and you haven't subbed, go ahead and sub for us. But we appreciate the support. Hopefully the Bears have some fun, have some great, games in store for us for the last 5 games. And I think I was going to say this earlier. Next season, I'm not going to do it this year because we're already starting. We're going to write down, I'm going to have the predictions written down and also our bold predictions. And we're going to recap them after every game just because I think it'll be a little bit more funny.
We're going to get roasted. Roasted. So
we'll bring those in. And then on top of that, we're going to have a voicemail line. If you watch Hogan Johns, or there's a lot of podcasts that just do it in general, we're going to have a voicemail line. I don't know if we're going to bring it out this season. Maybe
we might. We're looking into it. So
we'll see. What if the Bears win? If the Bears win on Sunday, we'll get the voicemail line set up again. That will be on the pod page. So if you want to call in there, we'll get the number on there. Of course, we'll remind you during the show as well. But we love Hogan Johns. We think it's a great idea. Also, there's a bunch of other shows that.
Oh yeah, they weren't.
We'd love to do live shows, but that's a little bit more hard. That's a little bit more
down
difficult.
the road. We are looking to do that. We are
live calls, I should say.
Live calls,
not live shows.
Not yet. We got to take baby steps to get here. But yeah, this would be a good start.
So all that to say, a lot in store. It's going to be fun. Of course, once the off season gets around here, it's going to be crazy. A lot of fun episodes planned there. But again, appreciate the support. We'll be back Sunday, hopefully after the Bears win. And we'll see you then.
Peace.